Hello, you sexy bitches. Henry here from the Bipolar Rollers, and today we're gonna continue our video journey on boundaries. Video 2. Last boundaries video, I talked about how people push our bipolar boundaries, and though an important video to make, this one will probably be much more important for some of you guys. And really the discussion today is about how we push other people's boundaries, how we are not always as respectful of other people's boundaries, and what we can do about it. Out and doing a little nature walk here, and as always, this is the time I spend to reflect and think of topics for you guys. Also, sometimes just take a moment to address you. And this video was super important for me because I've always kind of been, some would say maybe slightly confrontational, just a little bit. I have an issue with injustices or just corruption, deceit. When you have an issue with that, you're really passionate about things that shouldn't be the way they are in the world. You can't help but be a little confrontational, just a little bit, because you know what it's like to be surrounded by cowards who do nothing, who let these things go on, that enable this stuff to happen. And so, that being said, I think bipolar people, although probably better suited to bring the issue to the table, maybe we're not the best at the follow through. Maybe we sometimes let our emotions get the best of us, and we might take a bad situation, sometimes maybe make it worse. I know when my manic side kicks in, whatever cause, whatever injustice in the world, anything that's got my focus at that time just gets supercharged by my mania. Now, enthusiasm's great for a topic. Passion, fantastic. Mania, maybe not so much. I think sometimes it tends to collude the subject. Maybe we might push it too much on other people. We may not be the best representatives for whatever cause or injustice that we're fighting for or putting our energy behind. And in that sense, that can be a little bit hard to handle for the people around us. Ultimately, as a roller, I'm trying to help you guys to see that certain things about bipolar can be tweaked a little bit to make them work for you. Now, we want to be able not necessarily to fit into the world, but to coexist, to find that balance between your condition and to not push the boundaries thing. Because from what I've been reading online, I guess we do a lot of that. How do you guys push your bound? How do you guys push other people's boundaries? I know that someone with bipolar, and you got a little bit of some things maybe just very you're very passionate about, and that passion can be a little overwhelming for some people. So it's important to not push in order to not push people's boundaries from that aspect. What you do is just take a step back for a second and give things a second look. I know that sounds a little simplistic, but sometimes we look into a topic or something that we're passionate about, and we don't really do as much research as we probably could. Maybe it's a good idea to be absolutely 100% fully educated on a subject before throwing in our 2 cents. Because not only is it not cool to be uneducated on a topic that you throw your bipolar energy into, but it really paints a bad picture of who you are. It misrepresents you because you're not always manic. But when you're manic, things just take on a whole different life, don't they? So, that being said, when you have a passion or a cause that really inspires you, you probably want to wait till the mania subsides. Because if it matters to you at all, you want to be in peak form. And I know for some of you guys like me, you might think mania is that. It's that peak form. No, it just feels like that. It's not. It's really not. We are known, when in mania, to make, not the best decisions. So, do you want to really do your cause justice? Or do you want to be one of those flopping noodles in front of a car dealership? There is such thing as too much enthusiasm, too much passion, and those are just not the times that you want to win people over to whatever you're supporting. Come on, Rosie. Come on. Being bipolar is interesting, isn't it? We're a little more I don't want to say aggressive in life, but I think that we do tend to really get behind certain things. Even if it's our downfall, we get to be behind it a little bit during our depressive episodes, when we might expect more from people than they may be willing to give. Like pushing people to leave you alone. Holy shit. Wow, that would have been a nice drop. It's a little slick out here. Pushing people to leave you alone, or to, as we do sometimes, just push people away. I've heard of people hiding in their room for weeks at a time, not wanting to see anybody, breaking up with people so you can get your space to wallow in your misery. These things are, whether we know it, we're pushing other people's boundaries. Okay? There's only a certain amount of behavior that people find negative that they're willing to tolerate. If you're bipolar and you're lucky enough to have people in your life who care about you and support you and want to be around you, you treat those people like gold. Don't abuse them, and try to remember that there's going to be certain patches throughout your month as someone with bipolar where you're probably more prone to say the wrong things to them, maybe be unnecessarily cruel, maybe be a little alienating, dismissive. Now I know we're all trying to look after our mental health, and we're supposed to try to put these things into check, right? But we have a condition for a reason, and it pops up. Sometimes we don't realize that what we're saying is coming across the wrong way, or either someone's misunderstanding what you're saying because of the words you're using, or you are not thinking clearly and are not assessing the situation properly, and maybe targeting somebody, for mistreatment because of how you feel. Obviously, it's not a good thing, but have you tried before talking to anybody about a topic that you think may, fire some cylinders up or cause some triggering? Maybe taking a really deep 10-second moment of breathing. Just count to 10 like that old adage, and just give yourself a pause. Before it flies out of your mouth, give it a pause for a second. Think about nothing for just 10 seconds. Count. Take a deep breath in. All the way. Feel that those lungs fill up, and then breathe out. Even a 10-second moment of clarity might be enough to keep you from stepping on somebody's boundaries, by a poor choice of words, or just being too fly off the handle. I know that sounds crazy. Bipolar people fly off the handle. I know, but you're here on this channel. They hear all sorts of stuff you've never heard about bipolar people before. So there you go. You heard it here first. We fly off the handle sometimes. And one of the reasons why I made this video is because the importance of having good people in your life. Like, it couldn't be more important for someone with a mental health condition. So we've got to really take care of these people, because they are our angels. We need them in our lives. Without them, God knows what we'd be like, left to our own devices. Maybe not so bad. Odds are probably not so great. There are meters, there are gauges, there are hope. Because if you don't love anybody in this world, if you don't care for anybody, it's all too easy to fall into that trench that bipolar hits you with. That takes a lot of us bipolar brothers and sisters every year. Every year we lose more. Mental health is super important. And without the proper health up here, the tragedy of life just doesn't seem worth it, So other people's boundaries are worth respecting, worth treating with caution. Yes. And of course, with all this beauty around, the dogs found the floor to sniff at. Look, we're bound to say the wrong things and do the wrong things to maybe the right people or the wrong people. But think about what's important to you. Think about what you value as far as how people talk to you, how they treat you. Like, do you feel respected? Do you feel like your opinion matters? Although people have their own biases and judgments on those of us with a mental illness, everyone needs to feel those things. And so if you feel yourself stepping out of line from those, remember that your mental illness is not an excuse to degrade or berate or treat anyone with disrespect. So, how else do we push other people's boundaries? Sexually. There's a lot of information online about how people with bipolar have a problem with monogamy, and can have moments of, sexual impulse or engage in risky sexual behavior, that sort of thing. Now, I'm as kinky as the next guy, but some of you guys carry it a little too far. And by too far, I mean, my rule for life is as long as no one gets hurt, I can't say that's everyone's rule. And reading some of your guys' emails, I can say for sure it's not everyone's rule. But it's really important that one boundary that we discuss right now is the boundary of like a commitment, of the boundary of the respect that you have for a committed relationship, or a vow, a promise, a pledge, any of that stuff. Gotta love it. So we care about people, and we know what it feels like to be betrayed. We know what it feels like to have promises broken that were made to us. You want to keep yours. Why do I feel more strongly that you should keep yours more than anyone else should keep theirs? Because they're not expecting us to. They're not expecting us to. You go online and you read about bipolar, and it's like every horror show you could ever think of. Like, we've got a bad rap, guys. And it's time that the rollers start taking back our reputation and making it right again, because we had some poor representatives. You know what I mean? There was a time in society, and we're still there right now, where virtue signaling and victimhood is praised. You know, people found, instead of helping to fix themselves or take responsibility for their action, they claim they have something, and then they expect society to bend around them, to cater to them, to coddle them, because it's their, you know, it's the cross they have to bear. Okay, look, you're responsible for your life. Your mental illness is no one else's fault. So you got to do something about it. And what do? If you don't know, you reach out to somebody who might. And if that's me, so be it. If that's the best you can do. So I'm happy to help, to be honest. I still do paid coaching and mentoring. So feel free to check out the email address in the description of the video there. And feel free to reach out for rates. It's quite affordable, and business is good. You guys have been amazing, like amazing. And it's been really a sweet pleasure to meet a lot of you. And so far you haven't hit me with anything really hard. So if you guys got some really complex bipolar issues, throw them my way, because so far things have been going very smoothly. And I'm really proud of a lot of you. You know, I'm not saying I claim to have the best advice, but together we were able to work out some pretty amazing strategies. So, and I'm, again, super proud of you guys. So, relationships are super important when you have a mental illness. You're pretty much alone otherwise. You know, there are agencies, there are you know, things you can utilize to help you, but there's a possibility with mental illness that you lose your grip. You lose your grip on this life. You lose your grip on reality. You lose your grip on the relationships that foster healthy, you know, interactions, healthy feelings. It's not good when you get there, my friends, and it's a lot harder to come back from that. So take care of your relationships well. Don't push the boundaries too much. There are certain things that this mental illness makes you feel are totally appropriate. Well, good to have a backup, a second opinion, if you will. I know in this day and age of medical narrative, it seems like a second opinion is just not a thing anymore. But back when I was raised, second opinion was pretty standard. You go and get one if you're not sure the advice you're getting is adequate. Well, when you feel like maybe the advice that you're giving yourself isn't adequate, have somebody you trust and care about to give you that second opinion. Help keep you from breaking any more social rules of conduct as far as boundaries. Right? So, and a good way to get a full grip on whether or not you're pushing any boundaries is to just listen with an open and attentive ear to your partners. Your partner probably endures a lot being with someone with bipolar. They might be able to do better, they might do worse, but the reality is that we're not an easy haul. So if someone's willing to put in the time and effort to be with you, you gotta treat them as best you could and listen to them. I know with our racing thoughts and our constant fluctuations in mood, it is difficult sometimes to really listen. Sure, some of us can recite back the exact words that were used, but were you really listening to what they were saying? Or were you just waiting for your turn to speak? Waiting impatiently. And then having your reply fired up and ready without even really absorbing what was said. Well, that is a mistake. You want to really hear your partners out, because with us being a little distracted mentally, it's good to really get, someone's opinion on what's actually going on. Like, what are you missing? You're not seeing because of what's happening in your head. Do you guys have any suggestions on anything we can talk about as far as boundaries are concerned? I know we've covered both our boundaries and a bit of other people's boundaries. There is a certain amount of work that you got to do before you get to the point where other people's boundaries are even, a major concern for you. Maybe you just found out you are bipolar. Maybe you're really struggling with the condition. Maybe all you can do is hold on each day, and you're taking it day by day. Maybe you're barely making it. At that point, I understand that how other people feel and their boundaries and that sort of thing is really not a huge consideration for you. But you need help, right? You need somebody to understand, right? You need somebody to maybe tell you that it's going to be okay and that you can do this. You think you're going to get that from somebody you're disrespecting all over the place? Civilized society, we all got to do our part to fit in, to play by the rules. And those rules are: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Jesus was my homeboy. He wasn't bipolar, but he probably could have healed it.